time to lower the tone even further now. After reading that, with some of the absurd articles about Keir Starmer being sexy, and I never thought I'd say those words.
I was going to say, is that your opinion or no?
No, I'm not into 60-year-old men, despite the speculation. And here is an article. This was on the Times by so-called comedian Caitlin Moran. Keir Starmer has turbocharged my arousal levels. I feel fruity. Please don't clip this. So every middle-aged woman I know feels right now kind of fruity, turned on, as erotic as a British woman can feel during a wet summer. I'm sorry, Godfrey, for this. On the morning after the election,
buckets.
I feel like I would like one as well.
It's a new way of cloud seeding.
Yeah. On the morning after the election, one of my friends WhatsApped, and I realised, and this is a direct quote here, I realised I got up and shaved my legs, put on a face mask, and blow-dried my hair like I was subconsciously preparing for a date. And whom was that date with? As we spent an enjoyable hour analysing her subconscious, we concluded it wasn't specifically with Keir Starmer or even a new Labour government, but with competency.
Oh, that is cringe.
It is. Yeah, so this comedy article is actually just a vehicle for saying the Labour Party is competent.
Oh, dear.
And the funny thing is, and this isn't some sort of snobby comment, because I went to a comprehensive school as well. They were boasting about how we're the least privately educated. We have the least privately educated cabinet in British history, which seems to me not to be a brag. Personally, everyone knows that usually speaking, private education is better. Otherwise, what are you paying for?
It's true.
So yes, I'm not looking down my nose. I went to one. So
I wish I did.
I'm insulting myself. What, comprehensive?
No.
Oh,
private.
I didn't go private.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry.
I wish I had, though.
Yeah, same.
But yes, within the same breath, they're also being called the most competent. And, you have people like David Lammy as Foreign Secretary, who his venture on to Mastermind, where he didn't get any questions right on his specialist subject, and then even questions that children could have got in the general knowledge section, he got wrong, which quite frankly is embarrassing and is there online for foreign governments to watch when they anticipate his visit.
The thing that totally stunned me, one of the questions, it was sent to me by my producer guy, and he said, "Here, look at this." He said, what cheese do you normally associate with port? And he didn't know. And that, for me, I couldn't possibly vote for a man who didn't know about Stilton. I mean, the guy is a complete arse, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, dear, oh dear, oh dear. But if it is a competent Labour government, it will be the first in history, let's put it that way. But, of course, as I say, another rabbit hole. Who cares who you vote for these days? It's all World Economic Forum. So, and of course, at least Starmer's honesty, the honesty of Starmer, he did when he was interviewed by Emily No Mates. She said, "Oh, is it Parliament or is it
Davos?"
Davos. No, it was great. He said Davos. And everyone, I've got to vote for him then. I've got to vote Labour, haven't I? I mean, dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, I know.
Apparently, isn't that chap we were talking about earlier a WEF young leader or something like that? That was, which one? Somebody told me the Reform guy, the new Reform chairman.
It's
Zia Yusuf.
Yeah.
Is he WEF?
I don't know.
Somebody told me, and I'm just saying.
Well, I can Google that right now.
Well, that would be a revelation.
Although I can understand, at my age, the sexiness of Keir Starmer, because he looks, one of my really favourite dishes is steak and kidney pudding.
Nice.
And he does look like steak and kidney pudding. I mean, he's got that suety sort of look. And so, yes, yum, 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 yum.
So it carries on to say, there is nothing more erotic to a middle-aged woman than competency. I mean, there might be something to that. I'm not a middle-aged
woman. Hey, babe,
woman.
get a hold of my competency.
It is the quality we value above all others. As we age, our preferred language of love shifts from "I would die for you" to "I will stay alive and do your VAT return for you." And the single most sexual phrase we can hear is, "I'll take care of that." And so that part did actually kind of make me laugh a little. I'll admit, I'm very guilty about that. And so, however it pans out, at the beginning of this new government, the fact that they seem at the outset incredibly competent is making women of a certain age very frisky. I don't know about this.
I'm sure about that.
So this last part, I'm going to read it in full because it's you're going to have to pinch yourself. "Look who turned up to form a new cabinet walking down Downing Street last Friday. Not the familiar parade of pink public schoolboys, all seemingly in the same suit, exuding a palpable Worcesterish air of, what ho, I guess I'll be Minister for Housing in 18 months, could be fun. Don't know anything about it. Why not give it a shot? Instead, a new Minister for Levelling Up, Angela Rayner, is someone who has actually levelled up from a single mother in a council house to Deputy Prime Minister. Don't know whether that's anything to brag about. The new Minister for Prisons, James Timpson, I expected it to follow and say he was a prisoner, but no, has spent the last 20 years finding jobs for former prisoners. The new Minister for Transport, is that Louise Hay, has the kind of red emo hair dye that suggests she frequently jumped the barriers at the Tube on her way to a Green Day gig, which is not what you want, really, from a government minister.
No.
I don't know what it means.
Well, I wish I could be you. All my friends were watching these arrivals as if we were watching Magic Mike live.
Oh.
I'm not going to read that last part, but they said something about rubbing a certain area. It's almost as if Keir Starmer has hired the best people for the job rather than just someone's wife or a mate from school. But the thing is, they've had 14 years after power to sort out their shadow cabinet. Eventually, they're going to find people to fill it. You know, when you have the dregs of the Conservative Party, they've cycled it around so many times that, you know, they're running out of people that are willing to take the job. I'm surprised they didn't ask people passing by Downing Street if they wanted to come in and become, I don't know, the Minister for Levelling Up, which is a silly title anyway.
I didn't even know there was a Minister for Levelling.
It's an absurd...
Marvellous.
That's what we need, more government departments. But to help keep your lunch down, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is even worse. The Starmers are sexy.
Really?
I don't know what about this appeals,
Brilliant.
but this is The Spectator, once highly regarded, now clearly
Starmer
not.
in that clip, it looks like he's just had sex, only somebody's taken him from the south.
Dear, dear. So it reads as follows. Now we have new leadership and with it a new paradigm of attractiveness. David Lammy, the new Foreign Secretary, is even less handsome than Dave, meaning David Cameron, but for different and therefore revitalising reasons. Elsewhere in the cabinet, though, things hot up with the cheekbony, luscious-locked Angela Rayner and Rachel Reeves of the world. My goodness me. I don't know. I suppose
I don't know what to say about
I
this.
suppose the Spectator have been, recruiting from, the DEI textbook here and hired a blind writer. But for me, they are the wrong sex to ogle, and thus to the very top. Starmer himself, politically, I'm as lukewarm about the new Prime Minister as the next North London free marketeer. Why are you writing this then? But as I did what I always do when a new leader is elected, Googled the leader young. I found that he has form as a beefcake. One picture sees the Prime Minister as a lead student lying on his front on the floor with his mates, an impressive array of biceps visible, and downright saucy pin-up face, cheekbones to die for, nice mouth, full mouth, thick
Enough.
crop of hair.
I beg you.
I'm sorry. And it carries on to say, while he is no longer that fitty,
Oh, no.
He's
That's the
60.
Spectator.
yes, he's still a relatively fine figure of a man. Over the weekend, Jane Garvey wrote in the Times that Starmer was unlikely to prompt many erotic dreams, which I think is where this trend has originated. Maybe that's a good thing. I see it differently. Starmer is the first Prime Minister since Tony Blair, in brackets, sorry, you should be sorry, a demonic man, with whom I would happily consider a saucy affair. Who would write this?
Why would you... This is the worst 50 Shades of Grey, political rip-off I've ever heard in my life.
The thing is, I willingly chose to cover this.
What if the women years ago, 120 years ago, felt the same about Lord Salisbury? It's an interesting concept, isn't it? I love his bushy beard, but I particularly like his house.
Yeah.
Fair enough. On
Yeah,
that
yeah.
account. Yeah. That Starmer is a beefcake adjacent is a good thing. He looks like he could actually take someone on in a fight.
Oh, could he?
Not me, he couldn't.
By the way, I'm going to cut to something in a minute that completely demolishes that. He looks like, if furious, he could be dangerous. He looks, in short,
I know what you're going to play.
like what one used to think men ought to look like.
I know what you're going to play. I knew it. I knew you were going to play this.
So here we are. Here is Keir Starmer
Have you seen this, Godfrey?
No.
Oh,
with some
you're in
boxing
for a
gloves
treat.
on.
And just try and whack it. Yes, this is good.
This is,
That's it. And again.
he's punching like the London lawyer that he is there. With his vote Labour gloves on. I'm going to do that just one more time. This is the man that has got middle-aged women hot in the loins. For some reason, it's not playing, probably to save us all. I'll leave it to you, Samson.
I used to box a bit in the army years ago, and I'm an old man now, admittedly. He wouldn't go 2 minutes in a round with me now.
I don't think he could win a fight with a child, could he? Look at this.
Oh dear, what I could do to him in 2 minutes.
I know. Me and Harry, one of our other presenters, we used to go boxing together for quite some time. That would be embarrassing for the first 5 minutes of your first session. Why he recorded this, why he did this, I do not know. But I am horrified.
I've still got my gloves.
That is the match I'd like to see. I know who my money is on.
Yeah.
And as if that was not enough, let's get rid of this horrible video, shall we? There is more. Forget Dishy Rishi. Here's why people think Keir is the new Downing Street daddy. Oh. These words have come out my mouth now. I am sorry to everyone involved. But unfortunately, the British politics has really gone downhill, in the past 140 years or so. To be crowned a daddy by the internet is a rare yet esteemed honour. Idris Elba, David Harbour, George Clooney, and of course Pedro Pascal have all made the exclusive list. But now there's a new daddy in town, and you'll find him in the most unlikely of places. I think we can all agree that residents of Downing Street have never really got us monitoring for a fumble under the back benches. I can't believe I read that. This is the Metro, by the way, so it's obviously not a highbrow.
Sorry, I zoned out.
I wish I could. Sure, a young Just Call Me Tony wasn't awful to look at. Here it is again.
What is the obsession with
Tony Blair? He was in his 40s, I suppose, when he
Didn't he hang around lavatories in his youth? I read something. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. There have been
Apparently,
accusations.
He was up before the beak about it. Yeah, and he went under the name of something, whatever.
Oh, I did hear about this. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I have to say, it doesn't surprise me. Lavatory cowboy.
And sure, Tony wasn't awful to look at, and Cameron brushed up well in a suit. One Metro writer, who shall understandably remain nameless, I wonder why that is, even admitted to thinking Churchill had a certain something. Maybe it was the I don't know, the whiskey nose, perhaps.
I'm lost for words.
But it's our new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, that's finally seems to turning up the heat in Westminster. His appeal is no doubt helped by the fact there's long been speculation that Sir Keir was the inspiration behind, I can't even get the words out, Mark Darcy, the dashing human rights lawyer that Bridget Jones falls in love with.
These are all women writing this, right?
I would hope so, but I am not entirely certain.
Okay.
It is worth mentioning Keir Starmer's record as a lawyer, chief prosecutor of
a particular case.
Yeah. Wasn't it Jimmy Savile?
Oh, that's the one. Yep.
Also the grooming gangs?
Yep. Not a good track record.
No, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a little.
Not exactly the kind of cases you want to be taking in a rom-com, is it?
Was that a picture of him as the prosecutor, the chief? Was that him back then?
I think so.
Oh dear.
He's not got grey hair there.
Yeah.
I can understand it at least a little bit more in his younger days, perhaps, but now it's getting a little bit desperate, isn't it? But it carries on to say, His appeal is no doubt helped by... Oh, no. While author Helen Fielding has since quashed the rumours, she has said Keir is really sexy, and there are similarities between the two. The internet seems to be in agreement. Is Keir Starmer our hottest
no.
Prime Minister in history? Asked TikTok creator The Boldest Bitch, which is actually a man, by the way. I don't know why you would go by that pseudonym online. In a now viral video, comparing Keir to the likes of Liz Truss, and this is a quote, Gordy B, meaning Gordon Brown, and T. Blair. I don't know why they've got hip-hop names all of a sudden. Harold Wilson and Winston Churchill, sexy Starmer came out on top. This is the level of journalism now. Labour is in power.
I think it's time to shut down the mainstream media for good now.
It's time to shut down my brain reading this. He's stunning like a fine wine, reads one comment. I'm so glad someone has said this, said another. Right, I'm done with the Starmer stuff now. My goodness, I feel like I need a cold shower or something. But the torture is not quite over yet because I'm going to remind people with the Tony Blair years. Here is an article from 2014. Tony Blair packed number 10 with very beautiful girls who were half in love with him, Andrew Marr claims. And I can't help but think that there's a touch of envy from Andrew Marr there. But yes.
How do you think How do you think the media would have reported this if it wasn't Tony Blair and it was a Conservative Prime Minister and they packed?
Much like Berlusconi, I imagine, in Italy, right? They would try and make it out to be that he's
like
some
misogynist
sort of,
and predator or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we couldn't get invited to his parties. Nigel and I used to keep writing. We kept emailing him in the old European Parliament saying, "Oh, wait, we're free too if it's next weekend."
Never got an invite, I imagine.
No.
Oh dear.
But I know it's funny. Just saying, because when you are in office, that attracts a certain kind of political groupie, and then in the European Parliament, it attracts. There's lots and lots of pretty girls there who are interpreters, or they do this, they do that, or then research things for various parties. And it was good to be seen. I mean, I was an old guy then. I'm nearly dead now. But I was sitting in the Place de Luxembourg having a sherbet, and this blonde bird bounced up and said, "Is it all right can I sit with you? Because my friends will be coming out in a minute." And I thought, by all means, blonde girl, rather nice. Sits there. Can I sit with you? You bloody well can. I'm not a Liberal Democrat. So she sits down, and we have a sherbet. I buy a sherbet. And her friends now come up and wave and all the rest of it. And she wanted that. And that's how John Prescott got his name when he was an MP. John Two Shags Prescott. Came later Two Jags because he had two Jags, but he was a neighbour of mine, John Prescott, by the by. Positively ghastly man. And it's the attraction of office. So all these girls with their knickers around their ankles, presumably, are attracted by the fact he's in number 10 Downing Street, not that he looks like a suet pud. Who knows? But the female mind, who knows?
It's a mystery to us, isn't it?
I've been married 40 years and she's younger than me. God knows where that came from. I really don't. It could have been my Coots Gold card.
It does help.
Could be.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
On a similar note, actually, has anyone noticed, anyone who's seen Clarkson's Farm noticed the difference between Jeremy Clarkson and his
wife?
Well, I'm not entirely sure that his partner.
Partner.
There's quite the difference. Let's just say that. It's amazing what a very large amount of land and a successful career as a TV presenter can get you, isn't it?
What first attracted you to multimillionaire?
Yeah.
His personality, obviously.
Yes.
And then we have this as well, which I thought was interesting. Wendy Deng reportedly wrote a letter praising Tony Blair's body, but she'd hardly be the first to go weak at the knees. Wendy Deng is important because she is the wife of Rupert Murdoch of, Fox News fame and Sky News, right?
That's
bit unfortunate for him. It might explain why the Daily Mail were so keen to support Tony when he had it in the ear from his missus that she would run off with Tony, perhaps, if he didn't report on him favourably.
I hate to be ungallant, but you have to consider Mrs. Blair's legs, only to just imagine how talented Blair must be in the sack to actually manage to do it to that.
Oh, this is great.
The images in my head are now horrific. Thank you very much. And you had this, even from the Telegraph, Linda Kelsey here, in 2010, Tony Blair, a pretty sexy kind of guy. And of course, it's worth mentioning as well, the film Love Actually, made by a bunch of Tony Blair's mates.
Yeah.
The Tony Blair figure played by Hugh Grant. Interesting. He doesn't particularly resemble Tony Blair so much, does he? He's looks a bit different, really. I think that they were trying to portray him favorably, and also at the end of the film, he sticks up to the nasty US president, which of course Blair was criticised of.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there was an ulterior motive behind the film, even though we have actually run a segment on Lotus Eaters when people were attacking it for being too white.
Yes, what Love Actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite a good film.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think it's quite good.
No comment.
No comment, no.
But
I'm going to get slaughtered for that one. So
You are,
I
yeah.
should get quiet.
But one final thing, as now judging by appearance is back on the cards, now Labour in for some reason. Starmer has praised the diversity among new MPs in his first speech to Parliament.
Every government does.
He says, the most diverse by race and gender this country has ever seen. And he said it's the largest cohort of LGBTQ plus MPs of any parliament in the world. So yes, we have the gayest parliament going.
There's a completely parallel article that I read this morning, and it's also the most godless.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, the most godless. So that fits.
And I would suggest least meritocratic.
Yes.
That too. But I would like to implore you to have a look at this. If we can open up this image, what is the first thing you notice about this? I'm sorry, it's a bit of a small picture.
What?
Yeah, if we had Hamza Yusuf here, we would be able to.
Wrong spectacles, I'm afraid.
But to describe it to you, it looks very different from the Tory benches. That's for sure. There's a lot of you've got every diverse spectrum of white middle class person.
Angela Rayner right at the front.
That's true. Samson is circling a few diverse faces, but the point being that the diversity is not actually in Labour. It's a cheap shot, but it is worth pointing out. It's like a Where's Wally game here that's got out of hand. You can just about spot David Lammy there, and that's second from front row.
Yeah.
You'd have thought they'd have moved him out the front, wouldn't they?
I thought that as well. Foreign Secretary relegated to the second row. It's a bit of an insult, really. But yes, as we're able to comment on appearances now, according to journalists, it's no longer objectifying. Well, here we are commenting on the Labour bench. Actually got quite a few English people in it, which is different to the Tories, I suppose. I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can follow Bo's series Epochs, where you can learn all about periods of history, and if you want to see all of the other stuff we're putting out, you can follow us on Twitter, and we always post links to all of our work. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.